Hello there, welcome back to the Agostino Zinga Show with your host, Agostino Zinga, and this is episode number 936. 936 of the Agostino Zinga Show, coming at you live and direct from an undisclosed location somewhere within the depths of East London. How you doing? How you feeling? How you doing? How you feeling? Great, amazing, good to hear, good to hear. Good to hear. I'm feeling flipping good. I'm feeling flipping fine. I'm feeling really tight and healthy and shit. I've been fasting a bunch. I've been working as much as I wanted to, but still we're going and we're trucking along, and we're trying to make this last quarter of the year, we're trying to end it as strongly as we can. We're trying to end it as strongly as we can. So we're keeping our heads down, we're staying out of trouble, we're minding our business, and we're just stepping one foot in front of the other. One foot in front of the other. I am kind of looking forward to seeing some friends on Sunday, which might be good. I think it's a friend's birthday, I think, if I'm not mistaken. Some old friend, the guys I used to hang out with when I was like fucking 18 or something. And all of these guys, I haven't seen them in a long time. You still kind of keep in touch via the Instagrams and shit and the socials, a couple of texts here and there. One of the guys in particular invited me to his private show, private view, but I didn't end up going, so I kind of regretted that. So it's a good way to kind of make up for that time. But it'd be nice to see them, man, because, fond memories of that group, fond memories. With that group, I went with that was my first lads holiday, probably my first and only one. No, to be fair, I've been on others, I've been on a couple of others, but that was my first lads holiday that I'd been to. Really good, man. Like going to New York at that age, like I think the age ranges in that group were between like 18 and 22 probably, right? So those were all our first big holidays, our first prolonged time maybe away from home, especially for myself, right? Growing up in a very traditional African Christian household, I didn't really do sleepovers, right? I wasn't allowed to do sleepovers. No one was sleeping over my house for sure. So yeah, going to New York that time was so special, man. And if I'm not mistaken, I'm pretty sure I paid for that trip to New York with a combination of like resale money, a combination of like a student loan, and maybe an overdraft or something wild, like something crazy, like 2 bits of debt and 1 profit. I think that's exactly what I went to New York. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, thinking back to then, I think I might have went to New York with like, I think for that week that we went, or that, I think it was like 8 days, 9 days, I'm pretty sure I had like £300 to my name as in spending money, which might have been at that time probably $500. And that was, I felt like I was balling. Bro. I'm not even sure how long $500 would stretch you now in New York. I don't think it'll probably get you that far, but back then, $500, that would go so far, especially because we were staying in this hostel, right? I'm not sure if they still exist. We stayed in this hostel called Genesis Hostel. It was like this it was super run down, but it was really cheap. Genesis Hostel, and it was like this one building, obviously with loads of floors, kind of like, one of those New York buildings where it's got the stoops that you walk up, and it's got all these different floors, and that's where all the rooms are. The reception's kind of like in the living room where you get your key, and then every room has like 4 beds that you can kind of sleep in and shit. And yeah, this place was horrendous. Like the walls were paper thin. It was in a really sketchy area, but one of the good things about it being in a sketchy area, that's where all the good food was. There was loads of good food. In that area, there's also loads of kids selling weed and shit. So all of my friends who were bang on smoke, I wasn't really smoking back then. I wasn't really on fucking drugs or anything, or any drinks. I think I was just drinking beer. Yeah, that was back. Do you remember back in the day when you used to get fucking lit off just drinking beers? Do you remember that? Oh, I miss those days, man. Do you remember those days where you could get lit? You could have a great time just being off the booze. Do you remember that? Do you remember how that felt? Where you could just be litty off the fucking booze, a couple of Heinekens, and you're fucking, oi, you're going crazy nowadays, bro. Like, if there's no packet, there's no party. It's fucking horrendous, man. But yeah, I remember that area was really good because it was a rundown area, so you could basically get really good food. And I remember, if I'm not mistaken, there was this bar that we used to go to around the corner from the hostel that used to give you a 7-inch pizza free with a beer. Now thinking back, I think it was basically they probably increased the price of the pints of beer, but essentially that was a promo. With every pint you could get a pizza. I'm pretty sure that's how it was. You could get like a free pizza, it's like a cheese and tomato one. Oh, and if you wanted toppings, it was $1 each for each topping. Pepperoni, ham, whatever you want on top. So we were getting absolutely smashed in this place. Like we were just going crazy. That's also the bar that I learned about tipping, because at that point, when I went to New York at that time, I didn't really know about tipping culture. And one of the bartenders there like gave me a fucking, screamed at me like, "Oi, are you guys gonna fucking tip?" Like, scolding me in front of everybody. I felt so embarrassed, but after that day, I never forgot not to tip, So big up that New York bartender. You fucking shook me up. You made me so embarrassed, but you did help me out in the long run. But yeah, man, good times, man. Good times with that crew, guys. We got into a bunch of trouble. We walked around a lot of New York. I remember I actually remember a distinct memory. I remember the girls. I remember the first time, because that's time I was obsessed with fucking. I'm so obsessed with streetwear, but back then I was really obsessed with streetwear, to the point where if I saw a girl wearing Jordans, I might get a boner. So I remember we were going through Central Park or somewhere like that, and we saw this girl wearing like pink Jordan 1s, like crazy good fit, a little skirt, pink Jordan 1s, a really cool Supreme shirt that she'd probably cut herself and stuff, and whatever. And I remember all of us just like, jaws dropping to the floor, that kind of thing of like being in a new place, being so fucking excited and horny, looking at this girl. Like, obviously no one spoke to her, everyone just started looking, oogling, and then when she walked by, everyone's, "Oh, I would have done this, I would have done that." No, you wouldn't have. She was standing right there. You didn't do jack shit. So that was really fun as well. And of course, the pilgrimage to Supreme. I'm still gonna remember that day, man, because that store's gone now. I think it was a store in Lafayette, but that pilgrimage to that Supreme store was fucking brilliant. To finally see that Supreme store that has got all the TVs, the old school TVs on the window, that was fucking incredible, man. That was fucking incredible. It reminded me of this time back in the day. Actually, I used to be on this forum. I'm not too sure people even know about this forum, but big up Fifth Dimension forum. I used to be on this forum called Fifth Dimension forum back in the day, posting fit pics and arguing with people. And thinking back now, I didn't know at the time, but at that time I must have been like 19, 18. And I was literally arguing and having fights with like people in probably their 30s and 40s. That's how ridiculous that scene was back in the day. Those guys were so fucking bitter and miserable when it came to young people. They fucking hated it. They went to keep everything for themselves. They went to keep all the information about neighborhood, double taps, everything about Skate Thing, about VizVim, about Babe, about Supreme. You know what I mean? They went to keep all that shit to themselves. They didn't want to share. So when the kids came in, like myself, they got so fucking pissy. Don't get me wrong. We were also kind of annoying, but I remember being on that forum and that picture of the front of that Supreme store with the TVs on the front, right? I think it's an old school picture. I think it might even feature Aaron Bondaroff, Henry Arnold. I forgot. But there was somebody anyway on that, and I didn't know what the shop was. So I remember writing in the forum, "Oh, what's that? Where's that with the TVs in the front?" And everybody on the forum was clowning me. It became like a running joke. Like they were kind of slightly trying to bully me on this forum. I was like, "What the fuck? This is like," I didn't know what it was. I'm asking a question. So it was like a running joke. I didn't know where the shop with the TV was. Shop to the TV. So when I finally found out what it was, because I then became a Supreme fucking fiend and addict. It was quite surreal to finally be in that store and see it. It was also surreal to see all the fucking look. This is back in the day when I used to fucking honestly like wank over Supreme. I knew that brand in and out. I knew who worked there. I knew about the back end, splay, all that sort of shit. I had fucking scans of fucking lookbooks, editorials in fucking Popeye magazine and all this sort of shit. I was going crazy for Supreme. And I remember also being kind of like, this is kind of gay to admit, really, really gay to admit, but please forgive me. I remember kind of being a little bit fucking starstruck when I went in the Supreme store, that old one, right? Because a lot of the fucking guys that were in the lookbook were working in that store. Like, and I was like, I mean, looking at them. I think there's one in particular guy who used to have this brand called Deadline, I think. Was it Deadline? There's a couple of guys. There's like a mixed race dude or light skinned dude with long hair who I remember having a brand called Deadline. There's a white guy who also remember who used to model for the brand a few times. He was in there, but a bunch of people associated with it. I think at that time we were in there Nate Lauerman popped in as well. We saw that guy. Who's that guy? What's his name again? The guy that does all the cutout stuff for fucking Supreme. Is it Eddie? Steve? Something? Eddie? I forgot his name anyway. We saw him there. We saw the other guy too. I forgot his fucking name as well. The artist. He's got long black hair. He skates, and he also does some stuff for fucking Supreme too. He was in there. So that was a really fucking fun time. So anyway, all that to say, I'm looking forward to seeing those guys that I went on that holiday with on Sunday. Should be fun to see what they're up to, what life is going like, and everything else in between. Anyways, enough about that. Let's move on to the show. Big up at the stream chat. Big up people in the stream chat. Appreciate you. Big up Absurd. I love what you said the other day. Squeeze 12 months of work into 3 months of the year. I felt that. Let's lock in. Yeah, I'm on it, man. I'm on it right now. I'm on it right now, man. On it like Sonic. I just feel like at the end of the year, when it comes to fucking New Year's Eve, when it comes to all that sort of time, Christmas, I just want to feel like I've earned the right to go a bit crazy and to have a bit of fun, whatever, get loosey-goosey, you know, start swimming in some dirty waters and shit. But I want to feel like I've earned it. There hasn't been a time that I've done it so far this year. Everything has been a bit... That's probably why internally I haven't really enjoyed it. It's probably, again, this comes from trauma, but I have this feeling in me like I can never enjoy things when I don't really feel like I really deserve to enjoy them. So sometimes when I was going out, I was kind of going through the motions, but there was a lot of like inner self-flagellation going on. There's a lot of inner scolding going on. I wasn't really proud that I was out doing it. I mean, I didn't really feel like it. So now I want to get back into that flow, because this is how I've always been anyway. I've always been the kind of person that kind of feels like you should be earning your right to enjoy yourself. You should be spending time working, grinding. Then when it feels time to go out and celebrate, you celebrate, but then you get back and look in again. Rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat. But I kind of indulged myself and let go and got a bit lazy, got a bit fucking comfortable. And in general, it didn't really serve me right anyway, because I didn't enjoy myself when I did go out. The rare times I did go out, the rare times I did get on it on shit, I didn't really feel, it wasn't really good. It wasn't really fun. But now I feel like I'm getting to that place. You get me? Big up also Don Dutta. Yes, your Supreme moved where the old OVO store was. Yeah, they've moved over there. But big up Supreme, greatest brand of all time. Let's lock in. So I've just finished listening to Drake's interview with Bobbi Althoff. Yes, you heard it. Drake's interview with Bobbi Althoff. So Drake sat down with Bobbi Althoff. They're now back at call again. During the interview, they kind of addressed why they fell out. From what I can understand, reading between the lines, it seems as if when Bobbi Althoff, after she finished interviewing Drake, her life also kind of fell apart. You know, personally, I think she just got divorced from her husband. Everybody found out that she had a husband and 2 kids and shit, and people were running with a narrative that she was basically a shit mother because she'd rather hang out with rappers and stuff than look after her kids. Then there was that famous line from the Drake interview where she said something like, "Oh, it's my kid's first birthday, but I'm here instead with you." And Drake takes a piss of her. I was like, "What? Are you really like? Is it really your kid's birthday and you're here?" And that became like a bit of a meme. And then of course her kind of, after she divorced her husband, jumping around and doing content with other black dudes, I guess people kind of made the assumption that she was fucking all of them. So she had a bit of bad PR. So if I'm not mistaken, from what I can understand, reading between the lines of how they discussed this, it felt as if Bobbi Althoff blamed Drake partly for her life falling apart. She let him know via text and shit. He didn't like that he was being blamed for that. And then Drake basically blocked her. And then from there, they didn't speak again. And I'm not going to lie, man. I'm not going to lie. When I found out my fucking guy, Drake, blocks people, I was like, oh, he does make it really hard for you to like him, innit? Like, he's so corny and lame in it sometimes. I love Drake, he's my guy, but like, he's very light-skinned. Because I really don't think, as a man, you should ever block anybody. I think blocking and stuff should be reserved for the ladies, the gays and the days and the dems and in-betweens. I think if you're a red-blooded male, a red-blooded heterosexual male, right, whose dick gets hard at the sight of big juicy tits bouncing up and down, I really don't think you should block. I think that's the act of a bitch-made person, unless that person's harassing you or something. And even the word harassing as well, that's like a man saying problematic. Harassing, like, it's just something words shouldn't leave your lips. But regardless, for sake of the description, I just think you shouldn't block people as a man. I feel like you should have enough self-discipline you should have enough fucking willpower, enough concentration, enough things going on in your life that if somebody's annoying you, you don't want to talk to them anymore, you can just kind of block it out. But you don't need to block. I don't believe in blocking. I don't believe in blocking. I don't believe in muting. I don't believe in all that shit. I've never blocked or muted somebody in my entire life. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm a man. I'm sure for women, blocking is very important. It's very safe because there's a lot of creeps and weirdos in your DMs, leaving you comments and stuff. Because I've seen like regular girls, like girls, you know, nobody knows, who have their comments on their Instagram limited. A girl with like 100 followers. So you just imagine the shit that she must get. I even seen it recently on Twitter actually, which is like kind of upsetting. I'm not going to lie. You see it a lot on Twitter. You see like a cute girl on Twitter will post a picture of themselves, a selfie, and then she'll have the comments turned off or the replies turned off. And you know she does that because usually the comments and replies are fucking crazy. People trying to get your attention and being really, you know, lewd. So you can imagine probably for her family, she doesn't want them to see all that sort of stuff. So I understand. But I just think as a red-blooded man, you should not block anybody. You should be able to just ignore them. If they say something that you don't like, just ignore them. I think that's like a tenet of being a man, being able to just like endure things, swallow things. Again, it's not best. Again, pause, swallow. No pause. No, let's not do a pause. People like to swallow. I like to swallow. So there's nothing wrong with feeling, you know, upset about somebody, maybe being a bit pissed off at how they acted and shit. But I just think the action of going to somebody's, opening your phone, opening the app, searching a person's name, clicking on the dots, then clicking, scrolling down to block. I think that's something that a man should never do. Drake did that. Drake blocked Bobbi Althoff after that because he felt probably that she overstepped her boundaries and was accusing him of something that he was not responsible for. They never spoke again. So it sounds like by what I've listened to in this interview, Drake was the one that suggested that they interview again. Because Bobbi Althoff admits in this interview that she lost a bunch of deals and she got about a bunch of interviews cancelled. Some interviews she mentioned were pulled. She had interviews already recorded, but once it was made public that her and Drake were not friends anymore and weren't cool, a lot of people that already recorded interviews with her told her not to post it and pulled them. People that she had planned to interview didn't want to do it anymore. So she lost out on a lot business wise. Maybe her podcast failing in the first place had to do with Drake basically making it clear that they weren't friends anymore. At the time, I think everyone believed that they weren't friends because Drake had to fuck and she said no or something like that. But it doesn't seem like the case. It seems like she was going through what she was going through in her personal life. She then had a freak out, blamed Drake for it. Drake didn't like that, blocked her, and then that was it. So they're back together now, talking again. And I also get the feeling from this interview that Drake also did this on purpose because he wanted to piss off some media people, journalists and stuff, the hip hop kind of, you know, people who basically say that he's a culture vulture. They say that he doesn't want to have a proper interview with a journalist because he's afraid of the hard-hitting questions they're going to ask, and he's still running scared from the Kendrick battle and blah, 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 blah. So I feel like he did this on purpose as well to kind of spite those people. Like, I'm not going to sit down with you. I don't give a fuck. I'm going to sit down with this random girl. We're going to have this random interview that kind of feels like they're just talking at home. It's going to feel a little bit awkward at times because there's clearly some sexual tension there between them. So you're kind of third wheeling a guy, kind of spitting game in a way. If I was a boyfriend of hers, I wouldn't be too happy too. That's another thing to mention. She's got a boyfriend now, so I don't know who the guy is. I'm assuming he's black. You know, I'm assuming he's black because she seems like the type of girl that, you know, likes her rum. If you know, you know. She seems like the kind of girl who likes her rum and likes patties and shit. The kind of girl that knows how to cook jerk chicken. You know what I'm talking about. So I'm assuming she's got a new guy, or you know, she says she's got a new boyfriend, and I'm assuming he's black. But even if it's not black, I wouldn't be too happy with this interview. I'm not going to lie. But I guess that's what maybe you have to kind of put up with if you're dating a girl like Bobbi Althoff, who's attractive and who's funny and has these interviews. Maybe you have to put up with the fact that you're going to have people, guys especially, flirting with her during the interviews, and that's part of the tension. It's like that woman who does the NBA interviews, Taylor Rooks, right? Part of the charm of her interviews, she's obviously very well informed, but part of the charm, part of the appeal of that Taylor Rooks' interviews is that she's a super attractive woman, and there's that weird tension between the athletes because they're trying to, like, you know, flex or stunt on her, or no stunt, but they're trying to impress her. But she also knows her shit, so she kind of has them with their guard down. She kind of makes them have their guard down or puts their guard down because she's attractive. But then, you know, they also have this cool interview. So I think the same thing happens. So I guess if you're the boyfriend, you should be bothered. But if I was a boyfriend, I'd be a little bit bothered because Drake acknowledges that she's got a boyfriend, and then he also ramps up the game like a true player, you know. So that was the interview. That gave the basis of it. They run through a couple of questions. They get to the bottom of a couple of things in terms of the culture vulture thing, which I think is kind of unfair, really, because there's a bunch of people really that have come out already and said, like, even someone like a Blockboy JB. I think Blockboy JB said, like, Drake never charged him for the record at all. If anything, Drake just took the publishing on the back end, if I'm not mistaken. But when he goes to perform the song anywhere or does whatever, he keeps all that money himself. Do you know what I mean? So Drake he didn't charge him for the song. He just said, yeah, just let me hold on to a pub. Other people said, no, nothing. I think Offset said he never charged them for jumping on Versace or anything. He just liked the song and jumped on it. So I think the culture vulture accusations are really unfair because it does seem like he goes out of his way to just help people for the sake of helping people. Even this interview with Bobbi Althoff, I don't feel like he has a financial incentive to do this. I don't feel like they're in business together. It feels like to me, I kind of believe the story that they kind of fell out over something that Bobbi Althoff maybe misinterpreted or, just feeling bad about her situation, blamed him for, and they kind of weren't speaking anymore. But it also feels like Drake recognized that he may have done some damage to her career and is trying to put it right by publicly coming out and endorsing her with this interview, So I think it's unfair to accuse that person of being a culture vulture. All in all, somewhat enjoyable interview. If you're not really a fan of Drake, you're probably not going to like it because it doesn't really cover anything, to be honest. When I listened to this interview, it did kind of make me feel like, I know Drake doesn't really fuck with the legacy media. I know he's not a fan of all the hip hop journalists, especially Muggs and fucking, bag of semolina built, melted candle looking in the face, Elliot Wilson dickhead guys. I don't like him either. I don't want him to sit down with fucking Ebro from Hot 97 because Ebro Hot 97, he fucking sucks as well. So fuck Ebro. And also Zane Lowe, no one wants a Zane Lowe interview. They're fucking boring and don't go anywhere. But after watching this Bobbi Althoff interview, it did kind of make me feel like I also want him to get interviewed by somebody properly, like an interview about music. It would have been nice to have heard Drake talk about some music, doesn't have to be the Kendrick stuff. Just to talk about his ideas, where he's going to, where he's trying to go, maybe find out some tidbits and some lore about certain tunes. I don't know. That would have been a nice way to go. I would have liked to have seen that. His live shows, how he's enjoyed them, the different way he comes out, the set lists and stuff, the locations. I don't know. I would have preferred that. So this interview kind of made me more excited for a Drake music interview. But then I don't know. He's also in that place where he's a much older guy now. He seems very self-assured. Maybe he just doesn't feel like he needs to owe anybody an explanation when it comes to his music, because it's kind of all kind of out there. It's in the records, isn't it? He does really kind of spew or pour his heart out onto a tune. So maybe he just feels like, hey, I say what I say in the music. If you don't get it, you don't get it. If you get it, you get it, type of thing. I don't know. But I would like a real interview for him regarding the music stuff. One thing I also noticed, to be honest, was, I wouldn't say an insecurity, but it does seem like he overly thinks about everything. Then when he's very aware of how he's perceived online, which I think is a very big, strong trait of Drake's. I think he's incredibly self-aware. I think he knows he does that fucking weird duck lip thing. I think he knows he kind of dresses a bit corny and weird and lame. I think he knows he comes across a bit corny too, but he doesn't try and change or act different, He just kind of embraces who he is. But he mentioned the first time he got his nails painted, and he also mentioned the first time he got his hair braided. And he basically says when he got that and got his face tattoo, he said that each time was like a point where he was thinking, oh, people are going to think I'm having a midlife crisis, But I also want to do it because it's self-expression, right? I feel like doing it. It looks cool, so I want to do it. Fun fact, he started doing his nails, like painting them and shit and all that sort of stuff, because he bites his nails. Because I think Bobbi Althoff mentions it, like, oh, you really bite your nails, it's disgusting. He said, yeah, that's why I get my nails done. So as a way to kind of deter himself from not buying his nails, he gets his nails pedicured, manicured, whatever it is, and painted. So believe that if you want. And then the other thing I think he mentioned was the face tattoo. He thought people were gonna think he was having a midlife crisis by getting a face tattoo and by having braids and shit, blah blah. But he did it anyway. So it goes to show that he's very self-aware, maybe somewhat self-conscious, which makes sense. But he's also a person that doesn't seem to give a fuck, But I want to play a couple of clips that I kind of found somewhat interesting here. The first clip is the joke towards the end, right until the end, when Drake starts drinking a bit more. By the way, one of his favorite drinks is iced rosé. I like this guy, but he's so fucking he's so moist, isn't it? I love Drake, but he's so moist. One of his favorite drinks is iced rosé. He gets through about 4 when he's doing his interviews. Interviews like an hour long, and he fucking downs about 4 of them, right? So he gets a bit lit towards the end, and he's clearly a bit tipsy. And I like this joke. This is one of my favorite moments in the interview. I'll play it for you now.
If you had a superhero name, what would it be? BBC girl.
Oh, okay. That's where we're gonna end. That's crazy. How about you?
Oh, I'm sorry. That really tickled me. BBC girl. That was towards the end anyway. As you can see, he's getting closer in the bed. He's feeling a little bit loose and shit. Another moment that I really liked was this moment, courtesy of Kuruku, where he speaks about being a culture vulture. So this is Drake basically countering some of the claims that he's a culture vulture. Let me play that clip now.
Oh, you're a culture vulture, or like you know, like people will describe the collaborative efforts that I've put forth and the artists that I've picked up and lifted up or shine a light on as me taking, you know, they'll put a negative spin on it and try and tell me, you know, that it's a self-serving thing or whatever. And I think I get really sensitive about that. And I think at that moment I was just like, well, you know what? Then don't even worry about it.
So yeah, I agree. It's unfair because just listen to the people that have the collaborations with him. Everyone that's collaborated with him has always said that Drake goes above and beyond just to help. He just fucks on the music. He reaches out. He kind of does it just for the love of the game. And then the person reaps all the rewards. He's not even in it to like sign you away, get you locked up in some crazy deal. Nah, get money from your label. None of that. He doesn't do anything. He just pops in, pops out, pops on the tune and keeps it moving. So I think if he was a culture vulture, if he was really coming and stealing people's flow, stealing people's sounds, not paying homage, not putting people on, doing them dirty, like I think we would know by now. I think we'd know by now. But I think all in all, he's definitely changed a lot of people's lives. But the one thing I have to really, really argue and push back on when it comes to my GOAT is this section. This section where Drake addresses the fake abs controversy, right? So a few months ago actually, Drake posted a picture of himself topless in the mirror. Yeah, I think he was at home. He had this cabinet full of fucking fragrances. It's fucking crazy. But I think he took a picture of himself coming out the shower, obviously. I think so, or maybe just in the bathroom, whatever, with his top off. And the abs did look very, very etched. Right? They did look very etched. I wouldn't say I'd go as far as saying he has fake abs, but they look like the kind of surgery that people get where they kind of like, it's almost like they do lipo on the abs so that the abs are more defined. So maybe when you actually get your abs, you obviously strip away the fat, but if you don't want to do that, they just kind of do the lipo. If I'm not mistaken, I think that's how etching works. So his abs did look very etched on. Everyone was talking about it. Everyone was fucking mocking him about it. He didn't respond, but now he decided to respond, and he gave a reason as to why it may have looked that way, but he basically said he didn't get ab surgery. But I don't believe him. I think this reason's bullshit. So let's play the clip.
I noticed your tattoo for the first time today on your neck when you're walking away.
What, my son's name?
Yeah, that's adorable.
Shout out to my son.
Shout out to your son.
What a good guy.
Is he?
He's working out crazy. He has an 8-pack. He has an 8-pack. That's crazy.
Is that a thing?
Yeah, he's just like way more locked in than like I ever was or ever will be.
So he doesn't have to Photoshop his body like you?
Hard-hitting questions.
Is it?
Hard-hitting questions.
Had to be. You're only giving them to me. How often do you work out?
You like this question?
What? How often do you work out?
You ask me this a lot.
Yeah, no. How often?
Did that picture do something to you?
What? But I'm not going to ask you any questions since you're making them weird.
No, I'm saying, did that picture?
Yes, I looked at it and I was like, oh my God, I'm in love with him.
But it did something to you, though.
It was viral.
Did it change how you felt towards me, though? Because you're like, oh, like, are your abs real?
Why are you acting like that's not a question everyone has?
But like yours, you're asking it more like, oh, like, are your abs
When did I ever...
I'm not gonna lie, if I'm the boyfriend, I'm kind of, I know this is her job and blah blah blah, but I'll be pissed. I'll be pissed because towards the end, Drake was flirting. Like, Drake was flirting. Like, let's be real. Towards the end, Drake was flirting.
But we can play it back. When did I give it that? You wanted to give that.
Yeah.
That's not what it's giving.
What am I giving?
People think you got a procedure done.
Really?
You know.
Procedure?
Yeah, an ab one.
Really?
Yeah. Did you do that?
No.
Is that a thing?
I'm sure it is.
Why do you know that?
Because people do it all the time.
Oh, do they?
Yeah.
You've never done that?
No.
Okay.
People also say that I got a BBL, right? They call me BBL Drizzy. So
Oh, that's true. Did
I
you?
don't know if my wagon looked crazy when I walked in here, but
I think the BBL Drizzy is more to do with that Kendrick line, no? I don't think people say BBL Drizzy because they think he's got a big bum. I think BBL Drizzy comes because of that Kendrick line where he's like, if Drake was in a room with two bad bitches, he'd be thinking he's one of the baddest, you know? I think it comes on that. I think it's like a diss on that. And it also might come from the back of that song with fucking, what's his name? With 21 Savage, right? Like 21, what you do something, you know how people interpret it, 21, do something for me, they interpret it in a sassy way. So I think it comes from that. I don't think it comes from the physical or the literal, representation of him having a big bum. I think it's more like a diss, piggybacking off what Kendrick said.
But did it?
You got a BBL and you got your abs sculpted?
Did you? Do I have a fatty?
I didn't look at your body when you walked in here.
Do you want me to 360?
I don't.
So then, like, if it didn't stand out to you?
No, me personally, I've never looked at you and thought
I think it was just like I came from the gym. I was sweaty in that pic. Maybe I went on Facetune and like put like details up, and you can like make it.
Don't even admit to that much. Then
sorry,
you
just
Facetuned it.
Yeah, I was like maybe I like heightened the like saturation or something on it.
Okay.
I think I like hit it too hard.
He's my guy. You guys know how much I love Drake. But finding out Drake has fucking Facetune downloaded on his phone. Finding out Drake has Facetune downloaded on his phone and he uses it sometimes is fucking depressing. It's so sad. Honestly, I love the guy, but you got Facetune on your phone, bruh. And then you Facetune your abs. Like, what? Wagwan, yes, sir. On this big internet. Big up Remain Relevant. Wagwan, yes, sir. On this big internet. Why for that? Why does this guy have fucking Facetune on his phone? I don't understand. So, I don't believe him, by the way. I don't believe him. That picture was too sus. If you've worked out, you'll know how hard it is to get your abs. Abs are probably the last thing. Maybe if you're genetically blessed, you're lucky. But for most people, abs are the last thing to show. They take so long to get. Usually to have defined abs, you have to really dial in your fucking diet. Maybe sometimes, do a little bit of a cut as well, water fast and shit, to really get a definition going. But all in all, it does take a while for it to show. But usually, if you have popping abs, your chest is looking another way. Your arms are looking another way. Your neck is looking another way. Your delts look another way. And for me, Drake's arms, delts, shoulders, chest, waist even, they don't match how defined these abs are. Unless he's just got weird genetics where, for whatever reason, the fat around his stomach just kind of, sticks to his abs and makes them more defined. Or maybe it's to do with him having lipo. That could be the thing. Maybe he had lipo back in the day. So maybe if you have lipo back in the day and you take all that fat, there's less fat to cover the abs. I don't know, but it just didn't match. The abs definition and his arms and his back and whatever else, it just didn't match what his abs had. So I just don't think it's true. I think he did probably get some etching done, some sculpting, which is not abs. It's not an actual implant. If I'm not mistaken, sculpting is like when they essentially do what I mentioned, where they kind of do the lipo around the abs to make them stick out some more. But this explanation, in my opinion, is pure bullshit. I love Drake. He's my guy. You know it. But this explanation is pure bullshit. I think he did get his abs etched and whatever. I think it looks horrible personally. I think someone like a Drake with his level of wealth, with his resources, there's no excuse why he can't just hire a trainer and actually get abs done properly. I think he'd look amazing if he actually did decide to get super ripped and get really fit. Obviously, it's going to take time and it's difficult to do. You have to have the willpower, the discipline. But if he has all the money that he has, like, just get someone to, get fucking David Goggins live in your house and wake you up fucking 5 a.m. every morning to go for runs and to eat in a certain way. I think he'll be fine. So I would prefer it if he just, figures that shit out and doesn't do the fucking dumbass surgery. Please fucking God, no more surgeries. Moving on. I quickly went to cover this topic regarding the Berghain subreddit. Pick up the Berghain subreddit. Pick up the Berghain community subreddit, one of the best subreddits in the world. Somebody posted this question, which I thought was really interesting. Are heterosexuals, someone like myself, even flirting at Berghain? Are heterosexuals even flirting at Berghain? The question. Do heteros even flirt at Berghain these days? My impression is that the chance to getting to know somebody you like is less than most other clubs. Now, the reason why this person is asking this is because Berghain's kind of origins are from the gay scene. Most techno clubs, especially the best ones anyway, they usually cater towards the gay queer scene. The gay queer scene, especially in clubs, they tend to have a little bit more of a laissez-faire, relaxed attitude when it comes to hookups, when it comes to flirting, when it comes to sexual tension, fucking in general in dark rooms. And they seem to kind of enjoy going to clubs and exploring who they can find, what they can do, what they can get up to. They love that shit. Unfortunately for the heteros, it's not the same. I don't think so. And I don't think that's a bad thing. I don't think it's a bad thing. I personally, from what I can understand looking outside in, or looking from being on the inside, but also not being a woman, I get the impression that some ladies would prefer to go to a club and not always get hit on. I know some do like to go to get hit on, but I don't think just because somebody goes to a club and wears a really skimpy outfit that means that they're DTF, I know there's some guys that think that way, who are very fucking, I guess it's a form of misogyny in a way, but who are already kind of hard-headed and weird and have this idea that if a girl wears a short skirt and somebody catcalls her, she's kind of like bringing it on herself, which is fucking insane. But from what I understand of going out in clubs, I have the feeling that a lot of girls would rather just get left alone. And if they go out to a club, they're looking for an excuse to wear things in a club that they probably couldn't wear anywhere else, right? Because club outfits, club wear, it's a particular thing, a particular style. So maybe you want to go out somewhere, you want to feel cute, you want to twirl around, you want to feel the fucking wind, next to your legs, you want to feel sweaty, you want to get loose, you want to practice some show some dance with, you learn the fucking TikTok, whatever it may be. But you're not always going to hook up. And I've also found in my experience as a guy that sometimes the best experiences that I've had in clubs, especially with the opposite sex, have been when it's just a platonic, like you meet a little rave friend on the dance floor. There's one particular girl, I forgot her fucking name, but she's from Berlin and she knows who I'm talking about. That was like weirdly, I think that maybe like 4 years ago maybe? No, not 4, maybe 3 years ago. When I went to Berlin and I happened to bump into her on the dance floor, and she's like a big DJ now. She's doing bits, so big up her. You know who you are. But I bumped into her on the dance floor, and we basically were like just basically hand to hand, interlocking arms, walking around everywhere, dancing together for like 15 hours or something crazy. And that was one of the best kind of like human interactions I've had in Berghain. And there was no flirting, no sexual anything. It was just like two kind of rave junkies, right? Two fucking heads just meeting on a dance floor, discovering that we have quite a lot in common, making each other laugh and shit, and just like, running around causing a havoc. And I had a fucking blast. Now that interaction in the past, I would have probably ruined it, or it would have got awkward, or it would have got weird when you go and you try and ramp it up and you try and take it in a direction where it kind of gets sexual, where it gets whatever. I don't think it needs to go that way. I think you should be going to raves, in my personal opinion. I don't think you should be going to raves primarily to hook up, especially as a hetero person. I think you should be going to raves to have a dance, to enjoy the music, and to fundamentally, I think, just expand your social circle. Kind of get locked into the scene, meet new people, see different things, hear different things. I think it's perfectly fine to do so. Like some of the best people watching you could ever do, apart from the airport, is to go in a club and just stand by the fucking sides and just watch people interacting with each other. That could also be pretty fun. But I don't think you should do what the gays do in clubs, because if you do, you're probably going to get chucked out. The gays and the days and the dems and the queers, they can go to clubs and they can get very loosey and handsy and flirty, and it's fun. and it's okay. It's permitted. But I don't think you have that room to maneuver and to wiggle as a straight. You kind of approach too many people on the dance floor. You kind of say hi to too many people. You might get somebody who might alert the awareness team, and then sooner rather than later you're being lectured to by some 21-year-old in the corridor somewhere. You don't want to do that. So I think for the most part, clubs, especially if you're hetero, when you go to a club, just have fun, man. You don't need to always flirt everywhere. Not everywhere is fucking fuck time. Not everywhere is fucking sex time. Sometimes just going to places to have some fun. Dancing is actually pretty good way to enjoy your night. And I've also found myself when I've had interaction, or when I've been lucky enough to get lucky, it's always been during the time when I'm not looking for it. For the most part, especially in clubs, it's been completely random, out of the blue. But when you go there with the sole intention of like, yeah, I'm gonna, it's like, you give off an aura, you give off a smell. They can just feel you from a mile away coming off. You've got some mad, ulterior motives. They can see the fucking look of lust behind your eyes. Even when you're wearing glasses, they can still see how thirsty you are. They can see the dribble running down your chin. Just allow it. Just allow it. Just allow it. Okay? Talking about allowing it, I want to quickly talk about Manchester United's transfers and departures this season and give you my rating. Now, overall, if I had to rate it off the top, I would give it a 5 because I was not very confident that we would sign anybody. So off the basis of not being confident we would sign anybody, the fact that we signed some players, not enough in my humble opinion, I'd give it a 5. If we didn't sign the goalkeeper, I'd give it a 4, but I think a 5 is probably fair. So we're going to scroll down here and give you a quick synopsis on who's out and who's in. So in terms of players in, it's been fairly obvious to me, and I'm sure to most of you guys, that the addition of Bryan Mbeumo and Matheus Cunha has been an incredible upgrade in United. They are clearly a level above, a step above. There you can see the quality of those players whenever they get on the ball. I just wish we had more of them in the squad throughout because they are incredibly good football players, incredibly brave also. They look incredibly resilient as well, with the exception of Cunha, who kind of pulled up injured the other day. But still, and we got them at really good ages too, right? 25 and 26. So I'm really happy with that. Really fucking happy with that. The only signing that I wasn't too happy about was Benjamin Sesko. I would say, personally, if it was me and I was in charge, I don't think we needed to sign Benjamin Sesko. Because I don't think Benjamin Sesko is a considerable upgrade to Rasmus Højlund. I personally think Rasmus Højlund is better. This is my humble opinion. I'm going to die on that hill. I think Rasmus Højlund is actually better than Benjamin Sesko, but I think Højlund obviously performed poorly last season, and he was made to look worse because he was playing in a shit team. We finished 15th, proof is in the pudding. And I think once he kind of gets going at Napoli, we'll see how good he actually is. And I predict, most likely, he'll end up scoring more goals in the league than Benjamin Sesko will for us. But even if you don't believe me and you don't think Højlund's better than Sesko, you can't deny that Sesko is not like a big level up from Højlund. Sesko is not an Isak, He's not an incredible level up. So if it was me and I was in charge, I wouldn't have spent that 76 million on Sesko for a player that's just a couple levels above Højlund or one level above. I would have spent that money in the midfield. And maybe a fullback. Because I still think because we got linked with Carlos Baleba, right? The Brighton midfielder, the incredible Brighton midfielder, right? Who plays number 6, number 4, number 8 position, but essentially has the strength and the power and the running speed, leg speed to kind of carry the balls big distances, receive the ball in tight spaces. He kind of reminds me of like Casemiro when he was at Real Madrid, and younger as well. He could receive the ball in a half turn, pass it, move, tackle. Really, really all around great midfielder. Probably the next. I think he's even, in my personal opinion, I think he's even probably got a higher ceiling than Caicedo, who's at Chelsea now but was previously at Brighton. Long story less long, we needed that sort of player, that sort of profile. The fact that didn't happen is a big problem because, in my opinion, Ruben Amorim's system and style of play relies heavily on having a certain profile for certain positions. And at the moment, I don't think we have the adequate fullbacks that he would like to play his brand of football. And I don't think we have the adequate midfielders he would like to play a brand of football. Now, he should still get more out of these players that he has available. But without those signings, it's going to be very difficult for me to see us finishing in the top 10 or us having any luck in the fucking cups that we're still in, like the FA Cup and stuff. I don't think so. I think that's a big misstep. Because the biggest misstep came actually when Ruben Amorim was signed mid-season and we didn't sign many players in the January transfer window. I think that transfer window, we only got Dorgu and Heaven, 2 really young players. And they didn't really back him then, which was make no sense because they hired him mid-season. Why would you hire a manager mid-season and not back him in January? Whatever, that happened. But now going forward, it kind of feels like to me that they made another mistake by not getting a midfielder and also making Højlund leave. I think Højlund should have stayed as backup to Sesko in case Sesko has a bad run of form, gets injured or whatever, because now we don't really have a backup striker. The only backup striker we have to play in that position is maybe Cunha, maybe at a stretch Chida Obi, but he doesn't seem to be in favour with Amorim at the moment. So there's a lot of issues going on there. So I would give that transfer window a 5. When it comes to the outgoings, super happy because all the players that wanted to go have gone. I'm happy for them in their career. If I was being really picky, I would have said I would have liked us to have kept Anthony. I think it's very hard and very rare to get left-footed players. There's not many of them, especially with who've got good ball control, good retention like Anthony has. But I think for Ruben Amorim, Ante just isn't fast enough. Same with Sancho, just they're not quick enough. But I also think Ante would make for a mean fullback. I swear, if Anthony was able to kind of put his ego and pride to one side and play fullback, I think he'd be an amazing fullback. I think he would smash it at fucking left back. But unfortunately he left, but I'm happy he did because he's able to go to Betis and he's able to kind of be received there with love, given the confidence there, number 7 shirt, everything. Fucking amazing. Also happy for Højlund. Although he wanted to stay desperate at the club, he gets to go to another club on loan with the option to buy, and he gets to fucking, show out in the Italian league, which I think he's obviously used to, and I think he's actually going to kill it there. Happy for Lindelof, he's got a new club, went to Villa. Sancho also went on loan to Aston Villa. He doesn't seem like he enjoys playing for us anyway, so he can go over there. So congrats to him. The only one I'm upset about, to be honest, too, would be loaning out Toby Collier. If we didn't sign any midfielders, we should probably recall him back from West Brom. And I also wasn't that happy about sending Harry Amas to Sheffield Wednesday, because Sheffield Wednesday at the moment, they're in fucking free fall. They are horrendous, and it's probably going to do more bad than good to go to a team in the Championship that's really doing bad and struggling on and off the pitch. So I would have probably kept Harry Amas as an option to play fullback, and I would have kept Toby Collier as a midfield option if we didn't sign anybody. So that's why I'd give the window a 5 overall, a 5 out of 10. But, I'm not really, anticipating anything crazy happen this season anyway. I'm just hoping that we don't get relegated. But if we do get relegated and it brings the end of the Glazers, I'll be super happy. So I'm in a weird position right now. But it is what it is. It is what it is. Moving on. Let's talk about this. Courtesy of RA. I've just seen this pop-up actually on RA site. It says how to survive as an independent festival. Running small festivals was never harder. We profile resilient. Okay, I actually not gonna read this. I thought this is about festival goers. This is about festival people that are putting on festivals. Okay, we can read this another time. Let's move on. Let's go to this one. Big up Kid Cudi. Kid Cudi had an interview with this lady called Sally. I think she's French, and he spoke about a lot of things. But I want to play this clip where he speaks about his drug addiction. And he speaks about how he combated it, and he gives advice to the kids coming up. And I have to say, politely and very controversially, that I completely disagree with him at this point. But I'm going to play what he has to say, and I'm going to give you my opinion on the other side.
You also published your memoirs.
Yes.
Yes. And in this book, you openly talk about your addiction. Back in the time, you admitted that you were addicted to cocaine. I want to know, what is the biggest lie cocaine told you about yourself? Made you believe about yourself?
Great question, by the way. Great fucking question.
That I was invincible. I think I was so reckless on that shit. Like I was living life on the edge.
Yeah.
And when I look back, it's so scary to realize that, like, I was very much so gambling with the devil. And it made me not care whether I lived or died. It just made me invincible. Like, I could take on the world. And I'm happy that I was able to come out of that. And you know, they always say, like, there's no high like the first time you get high, and that is true. The whole time on cocaine, I was chasing the very first time high that I never got again. So that's one thing I like to tell kids, like, to remember. Yeah. Don't fuck with that shit. The first high, you'll get it. The rest of the highs will never be the same.
No homo and no weirdness, and not trying to make light of a serious topic, but he does have a nose for it, innit? He does have a nose for a good sniff. Like, it looks like he would inhale an entire 8-ball, innit? He does have a good beak for a straw, doesn't he? Like, let's be real. He does have a good beak for a bit of fucking powder, doesn't he? Jesus Christ. That shit will go in, and you turn around, turn back again, it's all gone. Big up Kid Cudi.
And you'll be chasing that first high the rest of your life. And it's going to make you miserable. You're going to be a shitty person. It's going to fuck with your creativity. It's going to fuck with everything about your mental. This is the first time anybody's had me ask me, like, kind of a question about, like, you know, what I would say to kids, or, like, what type of guidance I would give about drugs. I don't think that anyone should try hardcore drugs. You shouldn't try cocaine. You shouldn't try Molly. You shouldn't try any of that shit. I don't think you'll get anything out of it. I know you won't get anything out of it. You'll end even more miserable than when you started. And there's no happy ending to that story. There just isn't. There's just nothing. It'll just pull you down to the darkness, to hell. Literally, you will be at the basement of hell. And that's where I was for years, in the basement of hell. Just
how much are you doing, bro? There, how much are you doing?
Maintaining. And still being prolific. Yeah. Because I still wanted to put my feelings into my music. So, you know, the public was still getting art from me, but I was truly damaged and tortured inside. And that's what drugs will do to you. Even if you stop, it will still fuck with you for years after, and you'll still, that's how I relapsed. Because I quit when I got arrested in 2010. Yeah. And then everybody knew that I was doing cocaine, and I was like, oh, this is not cool anymore. Let me stop, right? But then in 2016, I relapsed. And it's like that 6 years, I thought that I was good. But there was still a little voice in the back of my head that I was like, come on, let's try it again. Why not? Just take it easy this time, but let's try again. So once you let that demon in, he will make a home in your mind and will wait there.
Having a coke demon inside of you is fucking crazy, right? Having a coke demon inside you is fucking crazy. But I'm going to say something controversial regarding this advice from Kid Cudi. I disagree strongly. With this notion, or with this advice given to kids that they should just stay away from drugs, stay for everything. If anything, I think if you're a child, if you're a young person, you should probably try your best to get all that stuff out of your system when you're young. The worst thing you could do is to suddenly, like a fucking Joe Rogan and shit, discover weed in your 30s and 40s. I think that's kind of lame. I'm not going to lie. I think I really don't think there's anything cool about being an older person and doing any type of drug. Even drinking. I don't think there's anything cool about it. You look kind of lame, you know. Seeing an older person holding a can of beer, holding court in a club, you know, getting loosey goosey at a fucking wine bar. You just, I don't know about you. Maybe it's just me. I just feel sad for them, you know, like, rah, what lack of personality, what lack of hobbies, what a lack of life that you're still here doing this. Like, you probably had a million wines in your life and you're still doing this at your age, 40, 50, 60. Like, come on, man, grow up. So for me personally, I don't really think that's a cool thing. What I think is a cool thing is doing drugs and drinking a lot when you're young. There's nothing more cooler than when you're fucking 18, 19, 20, like how we were back in the day, and you're walking down fucking Shoreditch, you're in Brick Lane, you're sharing a bottle of white fucking wine, Chardonnay, with your friends that you bought for £5. You all fucking chip money in together to buy this one bottle that you're passing up and down, backwash included, swigging, having a good time. You're fucking sharing one baggie that you've split between fucking 17 people. You're running around town, bumping into friends on the way to clubs, getting chucked out of this one, going here, going there, afters, until fucking Monday morning. That's what you should be doing at your young age. You should be having as much fun as possible. Getting fucking blitzed, getting fucking yacked out of your fucking mind. Wobbly. You know, you should be out, you should be out with your friends, and they should be playing a prank on you like they did with me back in the day, where maybe they say the baggie is one thing but it's another thing, right? Maybe they say that baggie, you thought the baggie was coke but it was actually ketamine, and then they make you take a massive fucking key bump of it and you go to fucking Pluto. You should be doing that when you're maybe 21, when you're maybe 22, 23. You shouldn't be doing that if you're 33. You shouldn't be doing that if you're 34, 35. So you should be getting that shit out of your system as soon as possible. And I feel like, for me at least, in my circle of friends, in my circle of acquaintances, I feel like the most well-adjusted, the most well-to-do, the most well-put-together people that I know, and sometimes, you know, to be completely honest, the most successful, you know, the most comfortable in life people that I know are the ones who got it out of their system quickly, who went out to all the fucking free beer nights, who went out to all the activations, who went to all the boiler rooms, all the festivals, all the this, all the that, and now they're just chilling at home, playing with their kids, hanging out with their fucking wife or husband, chilling with their fucking dogs and pets and shit. That's the people that I feel like in my circle of friends and acquaintances who've kind of figured life out because they got out of their system early. I think denying yourself drugs, denying yourself alcohol when you're younger, restricting yourself or putting yourself off from it, and then delaying it until you're older will only bring about pain and misery. That's real loser shit. Being a person in your fucking mid-30s and shit, being out and about, and then starting to fucking get on fucking doing Molly and all this stuff, like, for the first time, that's some loser behavior. Try and get out of your system when you're super young, and then from then on, you'll be fucking untouchable, in my personal opinion. But it complete, you know, everyone's got a different way to go about it. But I think the advice that kids should just not do anything is dumb and stupid. If anything, I think you should do it as early as you can, get out your system, and then keep it moving. The only sad thing about this interview and what he admitted here is that basically Kid Cudi admitted that for the majority of his career, the part that we liked the best about Kid Cudi, he was mostly under the influence of cocaine. He was under some sort of drug. He wasn't doing that shit sober. But let's be honest, his best work he's ever created was during that period too. And now that he's sober and clean and has a somewhat balanced, healthy personal life, I think he recently got married actually. Beautiful pictures. He wore an amazing suit. But he's now in a far more better place personally, physically, metaphorically, right? Whatever. But he's making some of the worst music he's ever made now, unfortunately, compared to his old stuff. Old Cudi, new Cudi doesn't even come close to touching old Cudi. So that must be a real conflict, a real fucking pain point as an artist, because I'm sure he knows deep down the work he was creating, the best artwork he ever created was back in those days when he was probably yacked out of his mind, you know, sitting in front of Pro Tools, taking fucking bumps and making incredible tunes, you know. Like I mentioned in another pod, you know, you couldn't thinking about it now, you couldn't have created Day and Night, that incredible record Day and Night, without some drugs. There's no way that particular record just comes out of the mind of somebody that's sober. who's sitting down drinking a green juice at their desk as they're making the beat. That's the type of beat, that's the type of fucking tune that somebody makes when they are, you know, surrounded by plates with lines. They're surrounded by little fucking, you know, capsule things filled with pills and shit. That's the type of music that sounds like. So it must be a weird place to be as a musician, which is probably why a lot of artists, and when you listen to a lot of people who produce big records, they have a very regimented way how they approach studio time. Like Eminem famously treats studio time like a 9 to 5. He clocks at 9, leaves at 5, and that's it. But a lot of people have a very set schedule way of doing things. But most people, if I've heard them correctly, when it comes to giving artists up and coming artists, most of these same people, whether they be sound engineers, producers, whatever, they always say that you should avoid drinking, avoid alcohol. In the beginning, they always say that because it becomes a crux. Because if you're sitting in your house and you're able to create a day and night beat one moment, or just to create that song, you're going to feel like the only way to do that song and create it is just to get fucking lit. So I get how people do it, but you shouldn't. You should try to do things without any chemical enhancements. And then after that, you should be able to carry on. But big up Kid Cudi anyway, because a lot of people are not really honest with this type of stuff. So it's good to hear him, especially when it comes to the cocaine stuff, especially as being a black person. There seems to be a weird taboo around. I feel like nowadays, maybe with balloons, it's starting to get a little bit better. But in general, there does seem to be a bit of a weird taboo when it comes to black people and fucking drugs and shit. Or admitting what drugs they do, getting the help in the first place. So it's good to see him recognizing he has an issue, getting the help, but then also not being shy to tell people exactly what went down in order to kind of maybe be of help and service to others. I fucking love that. I fucking love that. Talking about things that I love, big up ILOVEMAKONNEN. ILOVEMAKONNEN went viral the other day because of this really cool tweet, really cool video, that he posted. Very wholesome. Made me smile when I saw it. But instantly, the internet and social media does what social media does and completely misinterpreted this, or just, you know, try to use it as a stick to beat him with. So this is a clip of ILOVEMAKONNEN where he posted a clip of himself in the kitchen somewhere of a restaurant, bar, whatever, essentially letting the world know that this is his new vocation, his new fucking career. So let's listen to ILOVEMAKONNEN, legendary artist who most of you know for that fucking viral song back in the day called Tuesday. That was, I think, then signed on to OVO and he went on to do a bunch of stuff there, but that deal didn't work out, and then he kind of, you know, ended up going other places. But yeah, big up ILOVEMAKONNEN. This is a clip that went viral.
I'm literally at work type shit. Look at all these people out here, day laundry and shit, you know? I mean, they're working, getting this money. You know what I'm saying? If you need me to come guest chef at your motherfucking spot, holla at me. Let me know what city I'm coming through, cooking up. We got the smash burgers going off tonight, you know? I'm tired already though, but you know, I love cooking for the people. So if y'all need me to pull up, let me know where. Tag your establishment. If you need a guest cook, come through.
So yeah, I really enjoyed this video. I really enjoyed seeing him. He looks in really good spirits. The first thing I noticed when I saw the clip, oh shit, he looks really good. You could tell immediately he's got some fucking blood in his face. He's got some light in his eyes. His hair looks good. Like you can just tell he's in a much better place. Because I remember there was a time and period where he was going through what he was going through with OVO. He was going through what he was going through with his own career, and he was clearly going through it. He was much bigger. He was just stressed out all the time, being very argumentative online, bloody blah blah blah. It just wouldn't stop. It was one thing after the other. But it did feel like he purposely took a big break and kind of cut himself off from the music industry. He doesn't really post much stuff. I still think he's still making music, but you don't really see him, you know, at the front of things anymore. So clearly he's been taking time away and, you know, harnessing or focusing or sharpening his skills as a chef, and so much so that he's employed in certain restaurants, kitchens and stuff to cook up food. And you have to admit, when it comes to being a chef, yes, you know, he's a celebrity and he's well known. He hasn't been well known for a while in terms of star power, but this is not the type of job that you get because you're a celebrity. This type of job you get because you're competent. So he for sure demonstrated that he's a good chef, good enough that he can get paid and trusted with a place to kind of run their menu, run their kitchen. And now he's basically, you know, doing what people should do on social media, advertising his services and saying, hey, I'm a chef, you know who I am, you know me from my music, you know me from this and that. If you want to, you know, basically hire me, let me know. And also as a way to kind of update you on what he's up to. So I personally liked it. I loved it. I'm a big believer in people quitting things as well. As much as I like to kind of chase my own dreams and hustle and go for it, I'm a really big believer, especially in the creative world. There is too much of this idea that if you quit something, you've failed. I don't think so. You could not make it in music, then quit and get a regular job. But that doesn't mean you failed in music. That just means you went for something. It didn't quite work out how you wanted it to work out. But you have all these cool memories, cool experiences that you did that will live for you forever. And most of the time, in my humble opinion, when you do quit, you'll end up going to a job that you probably would have never gone to if you didn't fucking pursue that little dream. You know, that little dream, that passion that you had on the side, you pursued it and it put you in a different position. It maybe exposed you to a different area, a different, you know, work area and stuff that you can kind of explore, different things that you could do in general. So I don't necessarily think those things are bad. So it is quite encouraging, quite nice to see an artist who decide, yeah, I'm just going to quote unquote quit music and go focus on having a real job. And not just constantly try and enter this rat race of trying to be an artist and it not work out, then get fucking bitter over it. It's not necessary. So big up McKonnon for taking a step away from music, quitting whatever he did, focusing on his craft, focusing on his trade, getting his fucking chef skill up, being employable, holding down a job in the first, which is incredibly hard. I'd imagine for someone like him especially. You'd imagine, you know, being an artist for however long he was an artist, seeing all that fast money and then adjusting to getting a paycheck every month, adjusting to being told what to do, adjusting to be up a certain time, you know, whatever, all this sort. It's probably take a big adjustment for someone that's lived a life where you kind of get, you know, indulged and mollycoddled and shit. So big up him for having the temperament to kind of do that thing. Big up fucking ILOVEMAKONNEN. Now, the thing that I didn't like about the ILOVEMAKONNEN thing was stuff like this. This response courtesy of Yes Jules. Yes Jules saw the clip of ILOVEMAKONNEN going viral where he's in the kitchen and she posted the following. This is crazy, man. He's way too talented with music to be in a kitchen. So, Yes Jules' interpretation of McKonnon working as a chef was that he is above that. His talent makes him above that. He shouldn't have to do that. He should maybe he should kind of try and figure out a way to get back into music because music is his way out, quote unquote, of working a regular job. And I think this is kind of, you know, loaded and smeared with that contempt that I see a lot of people on social have, especially content creators. They seem to have a lot of contempt for the regular working person, which I always found very bizarre because if I'm not mistaken, just again, my outside in observation, it feels like to me, the people who actually pay, you know, who pay these guys wages, who fund their lifestyles, who are kind of there, me included in what I do, the people who actually allow these people to live the life that they live are 9-to-5ers. You know, the majority of their fans are probably 9-to-5. They're the ones that have the disposable income to gift subs, to fucking leave super chats, to just join, watch, whatever they have. So it's really strange to me how there's so many content creators who have a weird sense of contempt for regular people who work a regular job, because this is kind of, you know, dripping in that sort of contempt of like, you're too talented to do this, you should be still doing music. It's like, but he tried and it didn't work out. And Yes Jules should be more aware that the music industry isn't just about being talented. She should be the one that's the most aware because of the stuff that she's done with artists as well, coming up and stuff. She should know it's just not about talent. If it was just about talent, you know, things would be completely different. But it's not. It's about the full package. It's about external circumstances. Loads of things go into deciding whether or not artist is success or not. Obviously, positioning can help by spending money on a certain budget, but you know, being a musician or being an artist isn't just about being talented. So although McKonnon did have some talent, it didn't work out for him because, you know, it's not just about talent. So yes, she was saying what she said was disappointing, and also the assertion that, you know, he's above working in the kitchen. No one's above working. No one's above earning a regular wage, a regular paycheck. You should be able to do it in any way, shape or form. It doesn't matter what is requested of you. As a man, you should always be responsible for yourself, to provide for yourself. And if you have kids, if you have a partner and shit, you should take the responsibility of being the main breadwinner and trying to make sure that you are gainfully employed so that you keep a roof over your head. I think that is swaggy. That's gangster. That's cool, in my personal opinion, but I could be wrong. But luckily, a journalist called Z, or Brian Zysok, I think he's a co-founder of AudioMac and something else, he actually reached out to ILOVEMAKONNEN to get his opinion on it, on this whole controversy, on this whole story, and why he basically is working in the kitchen at the moment. So this is a thread courtesy of Brian Zysok. It says, "I'm not embarrassed. I'm just surviving like every human has to." This is what I Love McKonnen told me when I asked them about the viral video of him in a restaurant kitchen. Everyone shared the clip, but nobody reached out to hear the story until the story behind it until I did. Fred. So let's scroll down. He says, earlier this month, a fire devastated a Portland Burn Money studio. Bloody hell, epic name, innit? A fire devastated a studio in Portland called Burn Money Studios, a hub for local artists where McKonnen worked, stole merch, and created art. His kitchen shift was part of the fundraiser to help his community rebuild what they lost. So this place, this studio, got burned down, unfortunately, and I Love McKonnen, as the great guy that he is, and part of the community, decided to get into the kitchen and chef up things as a made person to help them raise some money.
We're fucked, dude. But they're building this lovely wall.
And to give back, of course, right? To give back. I wonder how this stuff happens. Are all these fires like natural? Are these fires done on purpose for insurance scams? I wonder how these fires. It always seems like random houses in America always seem to be on fire. Like, I wonder what is that a climate change thing? Are people just running a hustle? What's going on? I feel like every other day I see someone with a fucking post about some house being on fire, a building being on fire. Anyway, it continues. It says, but when the video went viral, the internet rushed to judgment. Blogs ran with headlines like about fallen rapper. Why are you shaming me for helping myself? McKonnen told me by the phone from his home in Portland, where he's spent the last 9. Okay, so he lives in Portland. That makes sense, to be fair. Judging by, his style and stuff, it makes sense that he lives in fucking Portland. Big up my guy, I Love McKonnen. When the clip went viral, some even dragged Drake into it, as if every chapter of McKonnen's life must be explained through the brief working relationship. McKonnen says, people always tie my story back to Drake, but I haven't had a relationship with him since 2015. That's a shame, by the way. That's a shame that they couldn't be cool. I'm not going to lie. It's a shame that the relationship kind of deteriorated. I'm not actually sure how it ended, but it didn't end on good terms, if I remember correctly. McKonnen's not working full-time as a food service businesses. He's actually been quietly releasing new music for the past few years, fulfilling contractual obligations instead, and tied to his decade-old co-publishing deal. Jeez, he's still tied in a fucking record deal. Fucking hell. I'd love to keep making art, but the business side, I want out. I never chased a record career, McKonnen said, now 36. Music was my way out, but once I saw the politics, the egos, and the fake shit, I knew this wasn't for me. Respectfully, I want to remove myself. Now, this is something that was very obvious if you were around during that time that he came up. It was very obvious that he just couldn't handle the music business side of things, the drama, the politics, all that stuff. He just couldn't handle it. So he kind of like shut himself in, shut himself down, and kind of just disappeared. And that was it, No one really heard from him again. So I completely understand that, because it's not for everybody. The music industry is not for everybody. Next post, McKonnen described the music industry as a place where support evaporates the second you're not hot. The quote, there's no big bros or big sisters checking in. No management, no booking, an agent. Everyone turned their back. Yeah. That's got to be something that I would love to hear from a fucking one-hit wonder. I'd love to hear, like, if you had the opportunity to interview a one-hit wonder, I think a really good question to ask them is like, how does it feel to go from nobody giving a shit about you, then everyone giving a shit about you when the one-hit wonder drops, then when the one-hit wonder starts to fizzle out, suddenly the same people that were acting as if they're going to be your best friends, they won't pick up your call, you haven't seen them, it's just all fucking crazy. So that's the real sad part, of all that sort of stuff. Like, you get a lot of fame, you become successful overnight, you change your life, you change the family, your life with your family, all that shit, but in the end, you're still all on your own when you get dropped. It's fucking crazy. It continues. McKonnen continues. The whole of everybody I've known turned their back on me and pretty much said, fuck you. We'll come around when you're dead and tell everybody you were a legend. Exactly. We'll cue Jay-Z December 4th. That's a very good point. Everyone says that, innit? People only get their flowers when they're dead and gone. So McKonnen continues to hustle. Cannabis sales, middleman deals for local businesses, moving jobs. The only thing that really helps me make me happy is when I can help somebody. I'm not embarrassed by it. It's survival. That's life. No, exactly. And I'm sure when he means help somebody, he means helping yourself. some of the most depressed moments I've had in life, I think some of you guys in stream chat can attest to it, as a man, is when you're out of work and you're unable to fucking, look after yourself. There's nothing more depressing as a man than not being able to look after yourself, not being able to pay your rent, not being able to eat food, not being able to do a bunch of things. So yeah, that's a real shame. That's a real fucking shame that people were fucking cussing him out for that sort of shit. I'm not really sure what was going on there. What's that? I heard some sort of sound there. I don't know what that was all about. Anyway, continuing on. He's candid about being overlooked, copied, and ignored by peers, but he still feels a responsibility to younger artists. He says, I don't want the next group to give up or feel scared to be themselves. I want the show There's Another Way. Agree. And here's him with a legendary Lil Peep. If Lil Peep was like, honestly, if Juice WRLD and Lil Peep and XXXTentacion were around today, they would be superstars. When you think about the level that people are at now, right? There's a real lack of, I think, talent in general when it comes to these younger artists. Imagine if those guys were still around. They'd be so clear. They would be the obvious people to take over from like Drake, Kendrick, and Cole and shit, I think. In like a level of stardom. Obviously, Lil Peep isn't a rapper conventional sense. But if Lil Peep, XXXTentacion, and Juice WRLD are still alive today, they would be superstars beyond belief. It'd be fucking incredible how big of a superstar they'd be. Like, could you imagine a Juice WRLD and fucking Bad Bunny tune? How that would go off. God almighty. But yeah. Continues. So no, the viral clip isn't about an artist, quote unquote, falling off. It showcases a man who cares deeply about his community and an artist at heart doing whatever it takes to keep the lights on. There's a good lesson here about assumptions of a 30-second video. Yeah. So it looks like he's not working as a chef. It looks like he's doing a bunch of odd jobs as he's kind of, navigating not being a popping artist anymore and just continually being creative, which I think is cool, which I think is great. That's what you should be doing as an artist. And I think it's also awesome because he's the one that stepped away. I think it would have been different if he was still trying to make it, still trying to recreate Tuesday, be about, try and get signed, But the fact that he's just living life as an artist, like true artist, and just creating for the creating sake, if no one sees it, they don't see it. And then off of that, something good will come of it, I think is the best and purest way to do things. And I think it kind of goes to show that he must be in a very content, mellow, almost zen place that he's in this position now, especially if you talk to journalists and clear whatever we need to clear up there. So big up ILOVEMAKONNEN. Great to see. It also goes to show kids as well coming up, that glow up is fucking real, but when reality hits, reality fucking hits as well. And I'm glad to hear he adjusted, because one of the things that's the worst is seeing people that don't adjust, seeing people that don't adjust, seeing people that think the fucking whatever life that they're trying to chase is still going to be there for them in the end. It's not the case. So I'm really happy to see what's panned out there for McConan. Really happy to see how it's panned out there for flipping I Love McConan. Big up him, big up him, big up him. Next, I wanted to move on to this. To this particular topic. Let me show you here. So let's go for this one. Big up Represent. Big up Blood Clot Represent. I'm a big fan of Represent clothing. I've started to warm to what they're doing recently, mostly because I follow their founder, right? One of the twins, I think they're twins, brothers. I follow, who's kind of active on social media. Wish I could remember his name. But he posts really good content, really cool like lifestyle content, running all the time, working out. But to be fair, it's a certain type of founder. There's a certain avatar, certain fucking character, certain stereotype of a founder that makes those type of brands, like Matthew Buxton, or what was it, Cole Buxton, sorry, style of a founder, where it's all about running, it's all about tanning, it's all about G-Wagons and fucking vintage Porsches and Rolexes that are not bust down, and key fobs from car key fobs and shit. So I feel that those type of designers and shit and brand owners, they do a good job of selling the lifestyle to you through their fucking social. And obviously when they get into like R&D things and factory visits and samples, and you see the steps that it takes to get from a sketch all the way to the finished product, it's kind of cool to see, and it kind of gives you a lot of reason to kind of buy into the brand. and try to be a fan. So I'm a fan of more Represent. I'm still not on the side of Cole Buxton. I think Cole Buxton still looks a little bit too naff for me. The same goes for Amanier and shit, not for me. But I think within that world of brands coming up, I think Represent is probably the best that we have now in the UK. Coming from the UK anyway. I think the guys are from Manchester. They've got stores in London. Oh, I think they've got stores in Manchester. I'm not sure they've got in London. They've got stores in LA and shit. They do really good stuff. For lack of a better term, if I was to describe them for like a really easy, lazy way to describe them, I feel like they're like a UK version of Fear of God. I feel like Represent like a UK version of Fear of God, if that makes any sense. But anyway, all that to say, they have a collaboration with Puma, and they also have a lookbook for their fall winter stuff that I want to show you. So the first thing that they have is a collaboration with Puma on the speedcats. Now, personally, the colorway is really cool. The kind of muted gray colorway with the white laces and shit, or the off-white thick laces, the tonal fucking logo on the toe box, plush fucking suede on the outer, what looks like to me like a leather inside lining there on the inside, which is fucking beautiful. There's a stamped rubber, there's a stamped logo of Represent here on the tongue. Like, really well done. Do you think I'm really sad and whatever questioning when it comes to the speedcats? The quality. I know speedcats are really popular and stuff, but I've seen them in life, in real life, in person, and holding a speedcat, the quality of them is really fucking shit. Also, if I'm not mistaken, the thing that really kind of pissed me off with speedcat retros is the structural integrity or lack thereof. Like, it's weird, but if you wear your speedcats and you take your foot out, the shoe kind of falls flat. It doesn't have a lot of structural integrity. It doesn't just stand, sit there. It kind of just completely flattens. And I remember speedcats from back in the day when I used to wear them, they weren't like that. They felt substantial. They actually felt thicker in the sole, if I'm not mistaken. So I feel like they've purposely made the sole super thin. They made the material on the upper super thin. There's not much lining between the fucking suede leather and whatever else velvet was put into the insole of the shoe. But yeah, it's just annoying. I really wish there was a way to fucking make these shoes retros again. Maybe make like a premium version. You know how Adidas back in the day, Adidas Originals, when they relaunched the Stan Smith, they had like a 80s version of a Stan Smith, or 70s, whatever the original date was, that was made to spec to the OG ones, had the same fucking staining, same discolorization on the fucking midsole, and they were fucking brilliant. But again, no one appreciates it back then. But now that everyone's a fucking sneakerhead, I'm sure they're probably going to be, asking about all types of fucking shit. So I would have preferred, again, more structural integrity, but I do like the fucking shape of them, and I do like this monochromatic sort of like one base kind of upper as well, and obviously the addition of the Represent sort of stamp on their fucking tongue on either shoe is also a really nice touch, with nothing else indicating they're Pumas, by the way. Just obviously the big Puma swag at the back and the fucking logo here on the toe, but apart from that, no one's really saying anything. So big up Represent. Then we'll move on to the shoe actually that shows them being worn, I guess, style wise, and yeah, they just look a little bit, they look a little bit hungry, Speedcats, especially the retros, they look like they're on Ozempic. They're a little bit too flat for me. Like this, look at all this space here. You see that space there between the fucking side of the shoe and the fucking tongue that's all flopping everywhere. So maybe it's not even a shoe. Maybe the thing that's not giving that shoe structural integrity is the fact that this woman just keeps flapping around everywhere. Maybe they might have to install like a cage on the front of the boot or something, or some sort, some sort of like foot cuck thing so you can sit your foot in. But yeah, I just don't know. I wish the structural integrity of fucking speedcats was better. I wish the quality of speedcats was better too, so these collaborations wouldn't be wasted, because it feels like they kind of are wasted. No attention to detail, by the way. One shoe is laced properly, one shoe isn't. Gotta love that. Let's take some more slideshows. Obviously you can see the model wine on there. They look somewhat cool, I guess. I wonder, do they purposely have these models sit in places where you can't see their face, or makes them look darker? I'm sure there's a facilization behind that, right? Where everyone kind of has this Gabriel Moses filter that they go through to ensure everyone looks super dark. I don't know. Either way, the fucking speedcats don't look bad there, but it's me personally, I wouldn't have worn them. I wouldn't have worn them. Then moving on, we've got to talk about fucking Represent Fall 2025 lookbook. Again, I think they're evolving and developing really well over the last few seasons. You got some nice shadow played flannel there. There's a bag that looks like a handbag that looks fucking cool. It's like a flip on an Hermes bag, but I feel like a little bit. There's merch as well available. This guy's modeling. Look at that leather. Oh, this is something Our Legacy would make, isn't it? This leather set looks like something Our Legacy would make. I swear to God, that is beautiful. It looks like a brownish leather, I guess. Coat and fucking trousers. It looks like he's got the same jacket made from that fucking Bill Cunningham one, but just made this crazy leather. Jesus Christ, he looks fucking amazing. More pictures as well. The lookbook. You got, yeah. So I'm not mad at this, man. I'm not mad at this at all. Maybe I'll just change the knees in general, but I'm mad at it a lot. I ain't mad at it one bit. From the hat to the bag to the jeans cut to the probably sneaker reveal, there, all looking good. Even this overdye set, I'm all for it. I think if you start, if you fucking scammed and lied last year, you're probably in for luck. But now there's not so much. And then look at this. This is really nice too. It reminds me of a fucking Dickies jacket, old Dickies workwear jacket that they flipped and done their own thing to. It's in this like navy blue type of color, overdyed, overwashed, whatever's going on there. Creases and fucking discolorization on the zips, on the hems and stuff, cufflinks. But people are describing him as being a bit belligerent, violent, and saying mad things to people, But yeah, that's him basically. That's him. Then you scroll down for some more stuff. You've got this t-shirt as well that looks fucking fire. I'm liking the fucking little belt jean loop things going on as well that guys are doing. The beanie on top of his head is also a nice touch, I guess. You've got flannel here again with a nice collar as well. You got that heavy plaid collar thing that he has going on. John Geiger also, I think he sells these seasonings now if I'm not mistaken. And there's some nice, look at this, bro. Look at this knitwear piece with the matching hat. Yeah, I'd wear the F out of that outfit. I'd wear the F out of that exact outfit right there. And this as well, actually. This is a very Asake fit, to be fair. Like, this feels like I should be, no. This feels like an Asake fit, I feel like I should be making some Afro beats, or talking to some baddies online. But big up him. Oh, look at this down, honestly. I feel like they're killing it. Don't get me wrong, the lookbook itself and the angle and how he's standing kind of makes me think he looks like Unknown T. There's something a bit skeptory about it too, but Jesus Christ, this down jacket, this duffel, this bubble jacket looks brilliant, man. I love the shape of it. I love the fucking color. It's got this iridescent type of color to it. I'm not mad at the bag either. Hopefully that's not a proper one, or is that a represent bag, or is that a fucking Berghain? Hope it's not. Hope it's a represent bag, because that'd be fucking sick if they get into bags as well. But yeah, just loads of stuff incoming. The cut on the jeans is good. Hooded fucking shirt is also not bad. But yeah, big up represent, big up blood clot represent. Anyways, people, that's been it. That's been my show. Thank you for tuning in. Episode number 9936 of the Agostino Zinga Show. Episode number 936 of the Agostino Zinga Show. If you're watching this live via the YouTube, you know what to do. Smash a like, hit subscribe, all that good shit. Well appreciated. If you're watching this via the fucking podcast app, obviously make sure you like the fucking post, share it with your friends, all that good shit. And yeah, man, I'll see you guys again very, very soon. And for those of you listening via the audio side of the podcast, I'll be playing my tune today. My tune of the day is courtesy the one and another Westside Gunn. The song is called DEMNA left BALENCI. DEMNA left BALENCI. That's my tune today. And today, because I've noticed that they don't block your videos, Westside Gunn, when you upload them onto fucking YouTube, I'm going to play the outro of the song. It's a very rare I do this, but I'm going to do this for this episode. Those of you watching via the YouTube, you'll hear my tune today, which is Westside Gunn, DEMNA left BALENCI. But apart from that, I'm going to head out. Thank you for tuning in. I appreciate you so much. This is Westside Gunn, DEMNA left BALENCI.
It's someone I know. At the man at the time. Hey yo. My heart got dizzy. Chrome crosses on the chinos, proud of Biggie. Samoa Joe with a kilo, the pot busy. Watching bacon backing up, we ain't watch Mickey. Silk shirts with Nefertiti, samples left needy. He still would have been alive if he wasn't greedy. Rubbing on the Pyrex, looking for a genie. Came through Sinead Macy's on the beanie. I want a shrimp, I had the yacht pull up the Kikis. With a Cape Verdean bitch, fat ass and DDs. You in the G League, guess who made Terrell pack it up and go to PC? Me. Trump got the muscle strutting around DC's, getting spooky.
You got to have vision.